Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Shoe Podcast, the only sneaker podcast that is 50% off for Black Friday. I'm your co-host, Ryan Landry.
I'm your co-host, Tanner Young.
I got a
bone to pick.
Okay. Well, before you pick that bone, let me just say, feels so good to hear that intro music after 2 weeks out. It's good to be back. It's good to be back. Took a little break. Wasn't too much going on. Didn't quite have an episode ready, but we're back. We got something to talk about and a bone to pick. Oh, bad timing with the water sip. I'm going to fill the air until he's back and go.
No, I wanted that moment to sit.
Okay. Let it sit.
Black Friday is no longer Black Friday.
Yeah.
Okay. Now it's just the whole month of November.
It truly
away
is.
the special day. And then now it's just Amazon being like, what if we just rake the prices up to where you could say it's 80%, but a product that was $50 is now $200. And I'm like,
yeah, I see through it. I see through it, Jeff Bezos. I know what you're doing.
We were a nation when a 22-year-old and like a 54-year-old were essentially having a heavyweight bout in the middle of a Best Buy.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. Yeah.
Because it meant something to get a 50-inch TV. Now,
anyone could any day in November. You're right.
Any
You're so right.
Day. So,
yeah.
I just, we spent Thursday giving thanks for everything, and then we erased it immediately on a Friday.
Within 24 hours, really.
Yeah, but
you got your eye on anything for Black Friday? Anything you're looking to pick up?
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
Turns out
it's not that bad. It's not that bad to not partake in capitalism without need for it, or consumerism, I guess I should say. I guess so. It is what but yeah, not to just be like, well, it looks like it's cheap, so I'm going to buy it. Yeah, that's fair.
I guess I do have something. I may end up having Ashley never got me. She's been wanting to give me a little gift.
Okay.
So I may end up picking up the little. You'd send me the link for the camera light arm, you know what I mean, that clips to the desk.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, never ended up getting it. So I may end up, see if it's got a little deal.
To make sure I'm following that correctly, did you just say my wife never got me a gift, so maybe I'll just go ahead and get it for myself?
Well, she could buy it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we have a joint bank account.
It's a joint, right. I know it's more of it's a sentimental thing. I was just like, the red light's rolling. Like, this is on the air forever. Yeah. But yeah.
She did. I will say she did get me plenty of nice little gifts. Her and Jules.
That's
very
right.
fun.
That's right. Yeah.
Also very cute. Jules got to pick the birthday cards.
Oh, that's sweet.
It was very funny.
I was just about to give context. Calendar check. Your birthday happened since we last recorded. So
yes.
Happy belated birthday. I mean, I know I've already told you, but from me and all the listeners / viewers, happy belated birthday. Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry we missed it while you were out.
Turns out it didn't really do much.
That's getting to your 30s. Well, that's getting to your past your early 20s, really, is what it is, Yeah. Kind of stops. Have it for yourself, Doesn't need to be a whole thing. Doesn't need to be a whole thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, thank you everyone for coming back for another episode of Shoe Podcast. If you're not watching and just listening, you could be watching over on YouTube at Shoe Podcast or on Spotify as well. They have the video episodes there. I think they're actually doing something different with the video podcast now. I think they get the full size, rectangle thumbnail, not just the square one. So by the time you're listening to this, you probably know more about it than I do right now.
You're seeing it.
You're seeing it. Yeah. So let us know what's going on with that. But it's good to be back. If you haven't yet, drop a little follow, a like, a subscribe, whatever the action is there. Yeah. We got a fun one today. Back with another list to talk about some sneakers related to music. We are going to be ranking the arguably but definitively best music themed Nike Dunks. I originally wrote Nike SB Dunks, but I think technically we're just doing Nike Dunks across the board here. We're gonna get into it. Or spoiler alert, Wu-Tang Dunks, because Wu-Tang Dunks I'm pretty sure are not SB. I don't know about everything else on the list, but Wu-Tang Dunks for sure. So we will be going through. Why talk about it when we could show it to you? 12 of the best, if not the 12 best music themed Nike SB. Wow. Nope, I said it again. Nike Dunks. Whoop. Catch them. Keep me honest.
Hey, little tally.
There you go. Tanner, before we start getting into them one by one here, how do you feel about our lineup of 12, and how do you feel like does Nike maybe have the best music themed sneaker releases of any of the sneaker companies? Anyone else touching them?
No.
Yeah.
No, 100%. Very, very easy. Nike definitely. It's also tough because it is Nike's skateboarding division, and
Yeah.
all of, well, at least, well, I guess, yeah,
Majority.
all of these were in, I think, that like peak era of the dunk.
Yeah.
Those early 2000s where I think they were doing really good collabs and going super wild. And I think they did a great job with the musician side of like having the dunks. I think they did a great job of having a clear image and you see a shoe. And then it's crazy when you kind of go through this list of how many dunks are in this like icon status that are music dunks. And I think that's why Nike is kind of untouchable when it comes to like musicians or music sneakers, because when you're thinking of like iconic shoes, you may think of these shoes, but if they're like, hey, name some iconic dunks, one of, if not most of your list is going to be these sneakers.
That's true. Yeah. Not because necessarily they're music themed, but just because they're such iconic dunks to begin with. Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very, very cool. So that was one of the things like going through this list where it's like, oh, wow, like this is an iconic dunk. This is an iconic dunk. People love this one no matter what. So it was very interesting to see that kind of theme that Nike has with these music dunks. So very cool. Yeah.
So I will say, for anyone who this is your first time catching one of our ranking / tier list episodes, the way that it works is, and this will be for the audio listeners as well. We'll do our best to keep you in the loop, especially if you're driving, keep those eyes on the road. We've got a tier list here that goes from S tier at the highest to F tier at the lowest. We've got 12 Nike dunks to place on there. We'll talk about each one, a little bit of a brief history. There will obviously be some pictures of them in more detail above our heads here. Tanner and I ultimately do have to come to some sort of agreement on what tier each shoe goes in. There will be puts and takes where maybe he wants to put some higher and I want to put them lower, and there will be trades. But we don't have a set criteria for both of us. There's no objective criteria. There is subjective criteria. So I will say, for me going into this, I'm not judging these based on maybe how true to the artist each shoe is, because for a lot of these, I'm not that familiar with the artist. I'm not that familiar maybe even with the album or song that it's referencing to. So I'm not going to try to grade it so much on like how true is it to that. This one for me is going to be a lot more in the camp of like, just do I like this shoe? Is it a good looking shoe? And I'm going to try as best I can to ignore any preconceived bias I have of like, is this an impactful shoe for the sneaker culture? You know, I'm going to try not to get too heady with it. You going into this, what is your headspace?
I think kind of the same thing. There's a couple where I'm like, okay, I'm very familiar with the artist. Or I'm very familiar with the album, or like there's sometimes where I'm like, okay, this is based off this album. I like the album, got some bangers, but so I think I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I like the phrasing you had. This is not objective, it's subjective.
That's right.
For sure. I think speaks a lot with this list. I think my criteria for ranking these is going to be how much do I like it compared to would I actually wear it? Yeah. Compared to money, no option, would I buy it?
Ooh, good criteria.
I think those are the things. Like, so to me, like the more of those categories you can hit, the higher for me it's going to be that I'm going to want to rank it. So one, just is it visually cool? Could I see it on my feet? And then if I just had unlimited funds, could I buy it? Because let me tell you what, going through this list, I don't have the resale prices because obviously resale, you know, it
fluctuates.
None of these are like this is like you got a plan to buy. Like I think even at the cheapest, they're like $700.
Oh wow!
So like,
okay, yeah.
From just kind of popping and going, there's none of these dunks are like 300. Like they are up there.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say, and then we'll just go ahead and get into it. for some of these shoes, they were released as part of a pack where maybe there was either multiple colorways, there was a low top and a high top. For each one of those that falls into that sort of category, we'll do our best to say if we're talking about the collection as a whole or just the high top or the low top. Because, like, for example, Grateful Dead Dunks, if we start splitting hairs between, like, what's your favorite color, then we'll be here all night. But something like Run the Jewels, where there's a high top and a low top, I think we're really mainly looking at the low top that we have on the group here. So we'll do our best to hold honest as we go. I'll introduce each shoe, and then if you don't mind, you can maybe give just a brief synopsis of, like, time frame when it came out and some sort of context behind the relation to the artist.
Easy. Let's
jump into it then. First one we've got on our list, the MF Doom Nike SB Dunk High. Already an iconic shoe, but especially with, rest in peace, MF Doom's passing. That was last year before. It feels very recent still. I think the interest and love of these just took off even further from there. So what do you got? What can you tell us about these?
I would agree. These already were a very sought after shoe. And they are even more sought after his price. So this Dunk came out in July of 2007. Wow. Some of the kind of noticeable hits that obviously is going to be that very metallic look that the shoe has, that is obviously giving a big reference to the mask that MF Doom wore. The Dubrays on the shoe, which is very cool, right there, the SPR and the VLN is for supervillain, which is very akin to the MF Doom aura, I guess, that he always had.
Quick pause. The kindergarten teacher delivery there, big fan of, by the way. I would not be mad if you kept that energy going through the episode here.
I will do. It's just, I do it every day, all day. So it's just kind of like, it's just a part of me.
It's just natural now. Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of looking at these shoes, the cool thing that I found that was really interesting about these is that the group De La Soul actually reached out to MF Doom, because they a couple years before had released their shoe, and they actually reached out to MF Doom and basically was like, you should see if you can get in contact with Nike and do a shoe. They basically were like, you should do a shoe. And so he did. He reached out and contacted, I'm going to butcher this man's name because I don't know, SISSI. I don't know, with Nike. And made the MF Doom Dunk that we have today.
Yeah. Wow. So there you have it. Some of the details I like, the caricatures, the two on the insoles there, which I believe are also on the outsoles. I tried to find a picture of those, but given how old these shoes are, it's hard to find like a picture of how clear they actually looked at one point in time.
Stop.
And then I think the other thing that always jumps out to me about these is the ostrich skin detail on the mud guard around the front of it. How, like, it just felt like you hadn't seen a lot of that before these came out. Like, it wasn't really that prevalent and still not used a lot. So it feels like one of those key details of the Doom Dunks for sure.
Yeah, I want to say I had seen a snippet that was a very big staple of the main designer of this dunk.
Okay.
And it's kind of like his
he was an ostrich, actually.
Signature. Yeah. Head in the sand. Head in the sand.
That was good. That was quick.
My bird facts.
I don't know a lot about anything, but I can tell you all about a bird.
Hey.
On a side note, maybe this would be a fun tidbit. I don't know if it factors into the judging at all, but maybe each of us, any familiarity / appreciation for each artist. So like MF Doom, you an MF Doom fan at all, or not so much?
I wouldn't say that I listen to his music a ton. I've heard like some MF Doom stuff. Very good, great lyricist. Loved all of the the production that he had on his albums, but I was never really adding a lot of his stuff to like a playlist or something. But very cool. I always appreciated the creativity that he had. Like every time I would go back and listen to albums that he had released, and be like, oh, maybe if when the albums were releasing, if I was getting into it, but other than that, looking back, not with the nostalgia, I'm not a huge MF Doom fan.
I get that. Yeah. I had a phase, I think it was in 2020, where I got I shouldn't say really, I got that's when I started listening to MF Doom more and kind of getting more into him. I think it's the Food album that I got into. We have a music listening group at work, and someone submitted that album for everyone to listen to, and I kind of just like fell into it. I think the thing that like I always really liked and appreciate about MF Doom is that in his rhyming sometimes he just would not rhyme. He'd just be rapping and it just like would not end on rhymes. I'm like, I just love kind of like the delivery of like, here's what it is. These are the facts, you know? So I always love that. And I love like the beat making and sampling on a lot of the tracks as well. So casual MF Doom fan could not tell you probably 5 songs, but if it's on, I'm probably enjoying it.
I would agree. I think that's a great thing. I'm not gonna be able to name you some songs. I know what I know the album, like that iconic album artwork.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I agree. I'm not skipping it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna enjoy it.
So where do you think these go on the tier list? I think especially after his passing, there's a lot of people already really like the shoe. I'm not going to deny that, but I think his passing kind of bumped it up even more so in like people's hearts since.
Agreed.
Where do you think these belong on here?
These are, they're so, I like them because they're so simplistic.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I like them. I look at them. I'm like, it's a black and gray shoe.
Yeah.
I could very well see myself buying these, and enjoying wearing them. So to me, I put them pretty high.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking like A, maybe B.
Okay. Here's what I was going to say. I think a lot of people would put these S tier. And for me, I don't necessarily have the association with them to put them S tier.
Sure.
It is a great shoe though. So I think A tier is a wonderful place for these to belong.
100%. Coming
out of the gate strong here.
Boom, 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 boom.
Let's see if the momentum continues. Next one we've got is the NERD Dunks. A mostly black shoe with a silver swoosh. It's got kind of like the brain logo on the quarter heel there. Comes with red laces. And if you give me one more image, I'll tell you if there's anything else interesting about them. Brown box. No. All right, take it away, Tanner.
Well, here's the thing. Not a whole lot. It came out in January of 2004.
Yeah.
And these were a part of an artist series from Espo, which was done by Steve Powers. Espo is Exterior Surface Painting Outreach. Really the thing that I saw from like the stuff, like a lot of the Espo stuff is a lot of see-through.
Are you sure that's the right Espo? That sounds like when you hear an acronym at work. This has happened to me a lot. I hear an acronym at work and I Google it and I get some sort of organization.
Maybe not.
Exterior Surface Painting Outreach sounds like a different Espo than would be associated.
Doesn't seem. Because a lot of the Espo sneakers that I saw were see-through and these weren't. So I was like, that seems odd, but maybe it's not.
Hit us in the comments. Hit us in the comments. Let us know. We tried.
A lot of when you look up from the artist series, and especially like the Nike, they had like a Nike Air Force 2.
Ooh.
That was Espo. Shit was see-through.
Yeah.
Real interesting.
I should have grabbed. I have a dunk book that just talks about Nike dunks. I should have grabbed it to see if that had any history in there.
Maybe some Espo. Maybe.
Yeah.
And basically they were just like, "Hey, Pharrell, you want to do a shoe?" And Pharrell said yes. The thing that's interesting about that, unfortunately, that's about all that they really anybody talk about the shoe. I can kind of see why. It's just a black Nike Dunk High, and the only affiliation to Nerd is the like their logo right there
on the heel,
tiny on the heel. And I'm like, I don't understand. This just seems like Nike was like, we're doing an artist series. Nerd's big right now.
Yeah.
Do a shoe. And it just seems like they were like, by do a shoe, we mean just put your logo on it.
Especially like considering where NERD was 2004. I'm trying to get my timeline right. That's probably a little earlier than when I got into them. But I guess so much of what I affiliate NERD and Pharrell with is like loud, vibrant color, specifically like I think Bapesta's, I think Billionaire Boys Club, that like a lot of that's like way more kind of like vibrant, impactful color than necessarily this muted kind of murdered out sneaker.
Yeah. No, I just double checked to confirm, and that is what Espo is. Espo
Exterior
is.
surface painting outreach. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know if it was maybe a charity they partner with. I'm having one of those moments where I'm really kicking myself for like, why did I not connect the dots that I have a book on Nike Dunks? Not everyone.
Yeah.
I don't know that these are in there, but like that would have made this whole thing a lot easier.
Yeah. Turns out, yeah. So Steve Powers, that it did a whole series. Like I said, you could look at the Nike. When you look up Nike like Espo, it's going to come up with the Air Force 2, which is a weird looking shoe. It's just a you know, yeah. So and there was like one nerd song that I remember listening to in high school. I don't remember the name of it, but it had something like "Girls in Line to the Bathroom."
Yeah, that's from the album. Is it Seeing Sounds that has the giant gorilla on the cover of it?
Maybe that's like the one song from Nerd that I used to like, and that song I loved. I listened to that thing all the time.
I'm doing a quick Google search while you
that thing was doing some laps on my Zune, dude. I swear.
So there you go. There you have it. The album is called Seeing Sounds that has the gorilla on it.
Okay.
It released,
Perfect.
What's the release year? 2008. So that tracks a lot better with the Zune timeline and why 2004 is before I got into Pharrell. Because when they were promoting the Zune, they used a song from the Seeing Sounds album. It's not All the Girls Standing in the Line for the Bathroom. It's Spaz. Is Spaz the song? I'm not looking at the track list, but I'm pretty sure the name of the song is Spaz. They promoted the Zune using that NERD song called Spaz. And this was this is right pre-streaming. So this is like you heard an NERD song that you liked. So you bought the whole album because you're like, maybe I'll just enjoy. This is still when you were buying whole CDs because you were like, I like the single. Maybe I like the whole album. And I ended up listening to it a lot. I did actually really enjoy it. I haven't listened to almost any NERD outside of that. And then now we're doing Zune history here for a moment. So in brief Zune history, after they did, I'm pretty sure it was the original Zune that they used NERD to promote. I think it was when they moved to the Zune HD, or it was the second round of commercials for the Zune. They had this commercial where like all the Zunes were in like a graveyard and then they came out of the ground. And the song they used for that one was, I think the artist name is Mims. And he did
Mims.
Or is Mims is This Is Why I'm Hot?
Yes.
So then it was a different artist covering Mims, and I think it was This Is Why I Rock. And it was like, this is like when you have Travis Barker playing over Soulja Boy. This is Punk Goes Crunk era. It's a weird tangent because like it has nothing to do with this, but what other opportunity have I got to get to talk Zune history on our podcast? So I got to get it while I can. So that's my affiliation with Pharrell and a brief Zune commercial history for everyone listening out there. That being said, real one, he keeps that thing on him. Mine's in the shed outside, and I'm just like praying it's not so like humidified and rusted over that it wouldn't turn on. Yeah. But I also don't know that I have the connector for it to charge it anymore.
I do.
Next time I'm over, we're gonna fire up the Zune.
I charged mine and I turned it on recently.
That's adorable.
It was really great. It was really great.
All right, to the shoe. Where does it go?
To the shoe. Where does it go? Low.
Yeah. How low is low? Like limbo.
How low is low? I feel like D is because like it's not terrible. Like it's not bad. Yeah. I'm just like, this is just a kind of like, which I understand people would be like, wow, why is this a D? And the Doom one is an A because they seem super alike. And I go, they do. However, the MF Doom one gave me a little bit different material to break this up. Yeah. Whereas this is just like kind of just a all like that mono with just a silver. And again, I don't even get like Pharrell. I don't get NARD. Yeah. Like, I don't even have anything that ties to it. It just seems like we had a shoe, put your logo on it.
Yeah, it does kind of seem like that.
To me, the D or C. C.
I kind of wanted to go C, but I don't know if that feels like me putting it in D feels like I'm disrespecting Pharrell and NERD. So I could go either. I would go D with the potential to move it up to C later based on what I see on this list that I know is worse than.
Let's put it in C.
Okay, C for now.
And then we can, I'm good with C because, like I said, it's not a terrible shoe.
Yeah,
it's just a
just
kind
fine.
of a boring shoe. I don't get why it happened.
keeping it moving, though, next one we've got is the Dinosaur Jr. These I'm pretty sure are Nike SB Dunk Highs. If you ever watched the episode of SpongeBob where they went into the future in the Krabby Patty and Squidward was doing crunches on the floor saying future, this shoe is all silver chrome on the upper, with the exception of, I found this image, by the way, of someone doing a sneaker YouTube review with the matching fit, and I thought that is so good, I got to throw it in the carousel. All silver with purple accents, Dinosaur Jr. name on the heel on one, and a little logo. I'm guessing that's a Dinosaur Jr. logo on the heel of the other.
Yes. So I love that you did say that very futuristic, because that is not super far off from the idea of this. So these released in February of 2007. So it is I'm trying to see. So Jay Mascis from the band.
You got it.
There you go. From Dinosaur Jr. Was the one who kind of like did the main design for the shoe. And I'm very unfamiliar with the band. However, apparently this band was huge in the skateboarding scene. So Nike SB obviously was like, we want to honor this by providing them for a shoe. So the logo, or not the logo, but the little character was created by Jay Mascis.
Hit the C. Hit the C in there.
There you go. And they were made to resemble the boots of the 1970s glam rock era. Now they say mammoth boots. When I ring up mammoth boots, that doesn't ring up. When I like, for some reason, whenever I read that, I think of like the boots that like Kiss wore. I don't know.
That's the relation I've always heard of like the lore of these shoes, is that it's inspired by Kiss boots. Yeah.
So they are meant to resemble that 1970s like glam rock era, which very obvious, or not obvious, but very forward on the foreshadowing is that Nike SB loves that era of music.
They do.
So it was very interesting. So I see these and I'm like, okay, I can see this like glam rock era. Again, I've never heard the band, so I don't know if their music is similar to glam rock. Is it more like,
it's not
hardcore punk? That's like more what you would think from like skateboarding. Or were they just like, hey, we do this music, but we just love 1970s glam rock?
I think that's a bit of what it is. I've also never knowingly listened to a Dinosaur Jr. song. That's how I want to phrase it, to say like, I've maybe heard one, but if so, I don't know that I've heard one. But I'm pretty sure they are not close to glam rock at all in their sound. So I will say though, what I do like about these is that in addition to the purple outsoles, the purple laces, and the purple sock liner, the stitching on the panels on the upper is a nice way to break it up from being so much silver and chrome on chrome. And you do actually get a little bit of the panels being separate, and it's not just one giant silvery blob of a shoe, you know? Like, it's subtle. I've never really noticed it until I just looked at it, but the purple stitching helps.
Yes, it does also. It is that same, a lot of look of like the humidity. The trumpet dunks. Yeah. So I do. Yes, I think the purple stitching does give it that slight little hit, which is nice. I do like that it breaks up, because I think just a solid silver shoe, especially like chrome, would be like, okay. Yeah. I do like the little guide down there, you know, very hand drawn. So I like that it comes out very hand drawn on the shoe, you know, from a thing. So I do like that. And then, you know, you got the little hit of Dinosaur Jr. Right there. So this one's an interesting one.
I got to ask real quick. Are you trying to Yu-Gi-Oh! Trap card me by saying these are like the humidity dunks except silver, to be like, so if you like those, you have to like these? Because I don't like that argument. I got to tell you right now.
No. Okay. These just, whenever I look at them, I'm like, okay, I can see kind of like that this would have some traction, because you think, you know, a solid chrome, but I'm like, oh, well, hey, the humidity dunks, those are a hit. But maybe the chrome and the purple is an interesting
it's distinct.
An interesting choice.
It's distinct.
This is also tough because, again, I'm not familiar at all with the band.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this track, and then it's also just like, hey, these are supposed to look like basically the boots from Kiss. And I'm like, so then now I'm really confused. I don't know why you just didn't get Kiss.
Yeah. Yeah.
to do it. I don't know. To me, I don't think these can go higher than the Pharrells.
No.
The NERD. So I feel like it's got to be D.
D for Dinosaur Jr. Yeah, I think. I think the thing is that like the NERD dunks are boring, so I don't want to wear them. And these are not boring, but I still don't want to wear them. You know,
which might be worse.
This is where we get back to the top of the episode, right? Where again, we're like, call it flawed criteria, if you will. I'm not judging it based off of like how true it is to Dinosaur Jr. because I'm not coming on here posing to know a lot, much less anything about Dinosaur Jr.
Yeah.
But I can confidently say it's not something I would wear.
Yeah, and I just looked them up on Spotify real quick. On Spotify, they've got almost 600,000.
A popular
monthly.
band. No, they're a popular band. I think they've kind of got that cult following thing though, where it's like, you know, they're not super mainstream, but like a lot of people have been listening to them for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like D is a fair place for them.
Okay. Fair enough. Moving on to a relevant sneaker as of just this year, the Nike Wu-Tang Dunk, black and yellow, got the Wu-Tang logo on the tongue and the hit on the quarter heel on the back panel there. Now, here's a fun fact for you listeners. When I put this episode, when we put this episode together, been sitting on this one for a minute, honestly, because we had other stuff come up. At the time we put this episode together, the news of Wu-Tang Dunks retroing this year had not been announced yet. So at least I'm pretty sure. I've got a foggy memory, but I'm pretty sure all these images are of the original Wu-Tang Dunk. And where I would have ranked them prior to them re-releasing this year, I think is differently than how I would rank them now that they've re-released this year.
Interesting. Okay.
Maybe bad bias there, but I'm aware of it.
Yeah. To be fair, these are, I want to say, the only shoe on here that has actually had a re-release.
I think so. Looking at the list, and
no, sorry, this and the next shoe we're gonna do have where they did a re-release,
a V2 of kind of
Yeah, I get that
more
is
of
true.
a V2 than like a true retro, but still, yeah. And and again, I do think only non-SB dunk on here. Someone I'm sure will correct us in the comments if we're wrong on that, but I think that's the case. Okay. Take it away.
To be fair, not a bad, like they gave time for this retro.
No, sure.
I mean, original release 1991.
This dunk?
No, that can't. No, that cannot be right. Why do I have that?
You might have had
that wrong.
You
9.
That
has been 1999.
Even 9 feels early for a Wu-Tang dunk. Hang on, he's doing the research. You might have got the album.
That might be what
because the album I think came out in 99 and they just re-released it this year for the 25-year anniversary of the album.
Yeah, it's gotta be right.
Hang on, everyone. Our editor,
it's 25 years.
So would it be edited? No, our producer is getting fired right now.
Yeah,
a producer somewhere just lost their job for getting the facts wrong on our
call. So 99.
Okay.
99. I wrote that wrong. Don't know why I'm going to fix it.
When the album came out and they dropped the first 36 pairs when the album came out. I'm so confused.
Nucky Dug High was released on the 9th after the Grail of the last 25 years. So 25 years from now is 99.
99 just feels so early for Nike to have done a Wu-Tang dunk.
Hey, so they let that retro sit.
Yeah.
Let that and like you said, so not only has it been forever, they only released 36 pairs.
I know when they did the original release.
Yeah, obviously for the 36 chambers. For 36 chambers. So wild. Like they let this thing sit. And it is interesting because I mean, like obviously Wu-Tang, I guess not controversy, but you know, they had like, we're going to release just one album. We're only going to have one copy of the album that will never be on streaming and things like that. So maybe off the hype of that, they decided to do a re-release. Very interesting.
Yeah. So I was just double checking StockX, not for the price so much, but because StockX will put the year of the release, and sure enough, they have listed the original one, 1999. That blows my mind. That just feels so early to do like a collaboration dunk, but
it does seem odd. But so okay, the colorway on here, black and yellow. The official colorway is called Killa Bees.
Oh, okay.
And that is referencing the RZA album done through Wu-Tang from 1998. I think it was like the year before this, and it was called The Swarm.
Okay.
So that is why when Nike did all the promo pictures for the retro, they were surrounded by bees.
Okay.
So one that's obviously referencing the name of the colorway of the shoe, and then again a nod to RZA. So some interesting things about this is that the re-release happening in 2004. What was very cool is Nike had this very cool like early release with Spotify, where in late September to like early October, if you were a top listener of Wu-Tang, you had the opportunity to purchase the Wu-Tang Dunks early.
That's cool.
So very cool that they were like, hey, which again, like, I feel like maybe not Nike SB, but like there's been skate shops where it's been like, you have to either wear them out, or I think there was a skate shop where it's like, you have to do something like that. So it's just also very funny that Nike was like, we want these in the real fans of Wu-Tang. So if you were a top listener, and only through Spotify,
this time around, you had to do 3 RZA verses, a cappella, no track behind you.
Exactly. So, and then it does seem weird because I feel like these were, I guess, like maybe like that motif where they're like, don't meet your heroes. So like, I feel like these were so sought after, obviously, because it had been forever since they've been released. They did an extremely limited run of these. But then they came out, they retroed them, and I just feel like everyone was like, oh, okay.
You know what? I'm surprised because I was prepared a couple weeks ago after the release of these. I guess I just assumed, based on like a lot of the reception reaction I saw online, that the re-release was probably just sitting and wasn't getting received that well. I think they are reselling for a good bit, maybe like at least $100 over retail on StockX. That was a couple weeks ago when I looked. I don't know about now.
Sure.
But I wasn't sure because so much of what's releasing now, like Amamanier 3s, I think Black Cement 3s, like all of that is reselling pretty close to retail. So I thought this would be another one of those that just would resell maybe close to retail. But last I checked, it could have changed since they were going above. So I guess there was decent enough demand for these, or at least people thought there was going to be enough demand to start scooping up pairs and hoping to resell them. But yeah, I am admittedly somewhat surprised with how well received they were, but I don't know how many pairs they produced, if it's still a little bit of like artificial scarcity going on right now.
Could be.
You and I have talked several times this year about, does re-releasing something kind of like that was once a grail, like a true grail of like, there's 36 pairs. The odds are you're never going to even see one in your life. Does re-releasing it kind of take away from the original? And I think ultimately, you know what? I'm not giving away where we landed. Go listen to the episode. You'll find out where we landed.
There you go.
But I will say for these, I do kind of wish they'd just let the first 36 be the first 36, because it didn't feel like there was such a public outcry to do a release of these that like now, I mean, the first 36 pairs are still iconic. They're still going to hold their worth or whatever, I assume.
Sure.
But it's just kind of like, oh, they did a Wu-Tang dunk. I just don't know a lot of people. I think everyone likes to be down with Wu-Tang because like Wu-Tang is iconic and Wu-Tang is for the kids.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know a lot of people actually bumping Wu-Tang all that often, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, it's 2024. It's not like people are Wu-Tang is in the mix a lot. So when they first released, it was like, yep, that makes sense. And then it was like, it was like I said, 36 pairs, 36 chambers. And you're like, oh my God, that's so cool. That's tied to it. Like the details, even in the number of shoes they made. And I guess it is one of those things where it's like people were like, "Oh my god, this is amazing! I want it." But I think people just wanted it because you couldn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it's like, "Oh, okay, well here you go, you can have it," you're like, "Oh,
yeah."
Actually, I'm not really that hungry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I'm sure they moved. But it just didn't seem like a craze, for these. But to rank them,
yeah,
I kind of like them. Easy colorway,
yeah.
Especially if you're a Pittsburgh fan.
Clean enough to wear. Yeah, go Steelers.
100%. I like B. I think B is.
I think better than a Pharrell, not as good as an MF Doom. And if B feels too high, these go in C. NERD and Dinosaur move down to D and E. So I'm fine for now with B. Maybe as we go further, we're going to feel like it gets a little bit more nuanced and we need to move this whole chunk of 3 down. But for now, B is fine.
Sure. I like it.
Quick moment. I will say we're at 40 minutes and we're not even halfway through the list here.
Yeah.
So we might need to move a little bit quickly. And I'm not saying that to you. I'm saying that to someone who did 5 minutes on Zune commercials, right? In hindsight, not the best move. I thought we were going to move through this quicker, but we're having pretty good conversations here. I'm not mad at it, but let's keep it rolling. Next one up, the De La Soul Dunk High.
Dunk High.
Brown
Very
and green.
interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Specifically that, I guess that's specific colorway. OG release 2005, retroed in 2015. So let a good time slip by. Could we see a third ideation of this? So kind of like we said with the Wu-Tang Dunks, when I was like, well, this is the only retro. And I was like, well, De La Soul, kinda, but you did a great job of like, this is more like a V2. Because in 2005, so there's also 2 colorways.
Yes.
So there's a brown and green, and there's a white and yellow. And when you think...
And both of those are high tops?
No. Well, yes.
Yes, right. Yeah, okay. I'll let you talk. You talk.
So in 2005, there was a white and yellow pair. That was a low top.
Okay.
And in 2005, the brown and green, the one you've seen on screen now, is the high top. So this is from the 2005 release. Okay. In 2015, they flipped it.
That's
so in 2015, the white and yellow pair became a high top, and the brown and yellow and green one became a low top.
Yeah.
Pretty much the note I have is I have white and yellow, which is not the one you're thinking of. And then there's the brown and green one, which is the one you're thinking of, whether it is the high top or the low top, probably the low top, just because that one came out sooner. So I'm assuming if you type in De La Soul Dunk, I think the low top is the one that comes up. And this was inspired by the 1989 album cover that you can see definitely when you're looking at them and you're looking at the album. It's literally just the 3 members kind of on a white background. So very cool. Yeah. I really like these. I think these are an iconic one. I think you picked the best of the 4. I like this colorway and the high top version the best.
Okay.
But this colorway with the low top is also very good.
This colorway with the low top is probably my favorite of the 4. Just, I feel like with the high top, it's so much just kind of like, these are tough colors, right? These are tough colors against each other. Like they're not the most like easy on the eye colors. And so maybe it being a low top, I feel like just takes a little bit of that off the top and makes it a little bit easier to wear. But these being the original release, I thought was more appropriate for us to rank these.
And I do think the elephant print looks better for some reason on low tops than high tops.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just because of Jordan 3. Don't know.
Yeah.
But again, I'm like, I kind of like these.
It's one of those ones that it's like, there are certain Nike SB Dunks that I'm like, that's so ugly, I love it. And this to me falls in that category of that, like, do I think it's a particularly good looking shoe? Like, no, but like, it's so ugly that I kind of love it, you know?
I agree, which is why I push this for B tier.
Ooh, all the way to B, huh? To me, this is where I want to start splitting, like, NERD and Dinosaur move down and these go C tier. Or
I like that.
You like that more than B tier? I could go B tier, but
I like that. I like that. I think the Dino J's.
Dino J's.
Yeah.
But they're dunks.
Oh,
yeah.
There you go. Yeah,
All right.
I like that. I like
All right.
dinosaurs at sea.
Watch out, everyone. You got 4 long ones, and now you're about to get the
Yeah.
lightning round of 8 on the back end.
Rapid fire.
Travis Scott, S tier, go. All right. No. Next one we got here. This is one that like I know the least about, but I know the least about the artist, but like this dunk is so iconic. The Quasimoto dunk highs.
Yeah, super great. These came out early 2006. Common theme, early 2000s, wicked run.
Yeah.
So these were for the independent West Coast label Stone's Throw. These were actually made for the 10th anniversary of the record label, which is very cool. There was a musician who was on the record label called Mablib. And they were named after his alter ego. Okay. Which is interesting. So very cool. There's rumored, nothing confirmed, that there was only 50 pairs made of this shoe. So very scarce. Basically, it was literally just made for the label.
Friends and like family.
The people. Yeah, all that, and that is it. I wrote a note on there where I say, bring these back. One, they haven't been, we are about to hit the 20-year mark. Okay. So, I mean, these haven't been released in almost 19 years. I said, Nike, please run these back because ain't nobody got $20,000 for a shoe.
If
15 to 20K was what they were,
hear me out. If when these came out, you set aside $1,000 every year, you could buy them this year. You could have bought them this year. So
why?
I don't mean to make you feel bad. Hindsight's 2020, but if you had just saved $1,000 every year for when you were like
freshman in high school.
No, 20 years ago. Do that math.
Well, 2006.
8th grade.
8th grade. Okay, there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But still, no. Okay. Yeah. 8th grade. Sorry. I was splitting hairs more. In my head, it was so junior high.
7 months.
In my head, it was so much closer to junior high than it was high school, that when you said high school, I was like, absolutely not. But no, you're right. You're like, okay, buddy. Okay, he was born in the first half of the year, so he's a grade different. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, this shoe, artist affiliation aside, the colorway and materials on this go so hard. And then you add that little logo on the heel, which I don't even know that guy, but that's a cool logo. These are so hard. Yeah.
These are crazy. Like I like, this is one of those things where I'm like, I immediately love it.
Yeah.
I would wear this thing so much, and money, like I would buy these if I did. It was like, it was like whatever. I would for sure. So to me, I'm like, it hits all three. Me personally, I put it in S tier.
All the way up, baby. Nothing can stop me. All the way up.
Crazy, because again, I'm like, I don't know who this musician is. I don't know what this record label is.
Right, exactly, yeah.
But they made a banger of a shoe.
That's the thing, is that like I don't know a single song about this. Banger of a shoe. Yeah.
Good looking shoe. Want to wear it.
This a real don't meet your heroes moment. Because if you go to listen to this and the album's not good, you're gonna be like,
yeah,
how are you so good at making shoes but so bad at making music, you know?
Exactly. So hopefully they retro this. So
we crushed 6 in. We crushed the first half here. Time to move to the second half.
Let's do it.
I do love that the first 4 shoes were probably like 8 to 10 minutes each, and the last 3 have been like no more than 4.
Wow, that's my favorite shoe. Next.
Probably best shoe on this list. All right, what else we got?
We don't talk about it anymore. We just start throwing out rankings. Like, it's just not even.
I'm not even asking you. I'm just clicking and dragging them on the screen.
Yeah.
Sorry, everyone. We're 6 years in. We'll eventually figure out how to pace
thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Right, exactly. Going into year 7 of this podcast, we'll eventually figure out how to pace this whole thing.
We'll figure it out.
Next shoe up, Grateful Dead Dunk Low Pack Nike SB. 3 colorways: yellow, orange, and green.
Yes. So these came out July of 2020. Scary times. And they are based off the Grateful Dead Bears.
Sure.
From their 1973 album, where they are all on, which is great. Some fun things about this: there's a nice little stash pocket, obviously, because Grateful Dead.
For what?
And what I thought was an interesting touch, the jaggedness that is on the Nike swoosh is to represent the jaggedness that's around the little bear's fur on their neck.
Oh, okay, the little collar area.
Yeah, the little collar area.
Cute.
So I saw that and I was like, that's cute. I always saw the jaggedness and just thought they're trying to have that, like, it's a bear and it's fur.
Yeah, fuzzy texture.
But I never made the connection to the bears until looking into these shoes. And I was like, that is very cool. Grateful Dead, I don't think I've ever listened to a song. All I know is that their fans travel and
they do.
And they like to get high. That's all I know about the Grateful Dead and tie-dye.
Yep.
They love tie-dye.
Also a big fan of tie-dye.
Yeah, but also get high, you're probably gonna like tie-dye. These are interesting because they are wild. Like, not only is the colorway, but then it's also just a fuzzy shoe.
Yeah, material wise.
But here's the weird thing is I like looking at them.
Yeah.
I know I couldn't wear these.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't buy them.
Yeah. Well, you couldn't have bought them. They were crazy.
Well,
they were crazy to get at the time. I remember entering raffles. And the orange pairs
I would imagine
only released at a skate shop in California. I remember that. Yellow pairs, I think, were the ones that were on sneakers, and I think green pairs were at skate shops. So there was
yellow pair, my favorite.
Okay, well, there you go. But I liked that they did the different levels of kind of like scarcity and rarity around them.
Very cool. Especially during COVID.
Yeah.
Very fun.
My other fun fact that I'll bring to the table is that I'm pretty sure the guy who was at Nike SB, who was doing some of these collaborations and designs at the time, I'm pretty sure the guy who did this one is also the guy who did the Chunky Dunky. He had a string of hits of like Nike SB dunks. Not at Nike SB anymore, unfortunately, but there's your fun facts.
Yeah. Hey, there you go.
Also, sorry, forgot to throw out there. Also, never been a big Grateful Dead listener here, so I don't have a lot of band history and context to go off of. Shout out John Mayer in the mix though. Now he's playing with them.
Oh, okay.
Dead and Company.
Wow.
He's been playing with them for a number of years now.
Okay, like an opener, or like he does.
No, he's in the band. He's in the group. Dead and Company is what they tour as. So
cool.
John Mayer plays with them. They just played the Las Vegas Sphere not that long ago, which seems like if there's anywhere to see the Grateful Dead, it's the Sphere, just the 100%. Immersive audience. Can't imagine how sober that crowd was.
A lot of smells.
Yep. Like a Hootie and the Blowfish locker room in there, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yikes. I want to put these at D tier.
It's tough
just because it's like, even with the De La Souls, I'd be like, I'd wear them.
These to me fall in that same bucket as the De La Soul. I wouldn't wear either, but to me, I feel like these, and I know I said I wouldn't, but here I am. These I feel like hit the Grateful Dead motif. Like, I don't listen to the Grateful Dead, but I know the Bears are a thing. And so like, I like that I can see the association here. Just like De La Soul, I don't listen to a ton of some of the singles, but I know those shoes hit the album artwork. And I feel like both of these, I don't know what NERD is still doing with that dunk, So like, to me, it falls in the same bucket of I wouldn't really wear them that much, but I think I like how they look and they're not boring and they hit somewhat of the assignment of the artist. So for me, I put them on the De La Soul level.
I like it. I agree.
Moving on up.
You've swayed me.
There we go. That's what it's all about, everyone. Compromise, give and take.
Yes.
Next up, we got the Run the Jewels Nike SB. Pretty sure just the dunk low. I'm going to let the carousel go here to see if I threw the highs in. But I should have backtracked real quick. For the Grateful Dead dunks, we only have the yellow ones on the tier list. We're ranking the whole thing as a collection. Okay. We are talking about just the dunk lows here. So Nike SB, Run the Jewels, dunk lows, bright blue and pink. We got the icy outsoles. We got the little logo on. I'm pretty sure it's the heel tabs have the little logo on it.
Should be, yeah. And then I think on the not the heel tabs. It's on the inserts.
On the insoles? Okay, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. You have the logo. Yes. So there's a low and there's a high. So we're talking about the low. It is supposed to resemble the Run the Jewels 3 album cover. And it's supposed to have that blue like ombre effect, so you can see on the heel, it's a very like bright blue, and then it darkens as it gets to the front of the shoe. So that's a very akin. That's really about the only other cool thing about this. And then the other cool thing is they released on Killer Mike's birthday, April 20th of 2023. So
I remember these were kind of touted as
cool.
like the 420 release last year. Yeah.
Yeah. So very cool. And that's all there really is about this shoe.
Can we say of the two, the Dunk Low infinitely better than the Dunk High?
I like it a lot better. From what I've seen, actual skateboarders prefer the High, just because of the leather that they used on it was a more durable leather. And apparently it was very grippy, and it was nice even whenever you wore down on the leather. So there's that. I visually like the Low a lot better, just because the High is a like a hyper pink and black shoe. Yeah. I guess you do get a cool, like the Nike swoosh is more gym on the High, but I like the Low a lot better. I like kind of it's not rope laces, but you know, it kind of has that same vibe.
It does have that feel to it. Yeah.
So I do like that. Do you listen to Run the Jewels? Have you listened to Run the Jewels? I don't
remember if it was 3 or 4. When one of those albums came out, I ran it front to back with a good bit. It's whatever one has the feature with Zach De La Rocha of Rage Against the Machine on it, which I don't know if they've done more than one track with him, but whichever album has that feature, I listen to a good bit. Shout out our good friend Ben. He's been on Run the Jewels for a while. He's like the first person I remember talking about Run the Jewels. And so I remember when I finally gave their album a listen, I was like, okay, Ben knows what he's talking about. So casual Run the Jewels fan, would enjoy it if it was on, would not hurry to turn it off. Couldn't tell you couldn't tell you one song, but enjoy it if it's on. What about you?
There was a stint where I did listen to, I think Run the Jewels 2. That was the big one that I listened to. But I think Ben and John was like, hey, that's a good album. But then they also made an album that instead of them like rapping on it, it's just cats meowing.
Meow the Jewels?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. I was going to say, I knew it had a cat pun in the name. I think that's it.
So I'm like, that's really fun. I really love Killer Mike as like a person. I think he's a really big activist. He does like great like conversations on inequality within the country, policies, politics, things like that. So really, really great. I'm sure LP probably also as well. But again, kind of like the same thing. Like for Run the Jewels, if it's on, I'm probably going to listen to it and enjoy it. Yeah. And then, well, hey, Killer Mike, I think he just won a Grammy controversially, but
shout out Mike. Michael.
There you go. Very, very cool. So these, I think, have like they're not wild, but they're kind of they're out there because it's a pretty bright blue, but it's not like super out there. Yeah. So I think it's kind of in that middle for me. Okay. Of it's wild but not wild. It's kind of tame but then weird. Yeah. I'm between like 3 areas to rank this. So I'm curious to see, I guess, like what are your thoughts?
You want to tell me the range, or you want me to just go in blind? Okay, unfiltered thoughts. For me, I think I'm kind of looking at it more from a wearability standpoint of like what I would personally wear. And to me, these are closer to B tier than C tier. Like for me, it's not Dooms or Quasimotos to where like that looks great, I want to wear it. Even still, like Wu-Tang's, I think still more wearable than this. I think this is more wearable than De La Soul's or Grateful Dead's. I do think, but it's all, it's all scope. Like I think these are true to the artwork of Run the Jewels 3, but I think Grateful Dead's are kind of still a little bit more iconic, and De La Soul's, like if you looked at them and no one gave you hints of like what this is, Grateful Dead's have the bear on it. De La Soul has their face on it. So maybe it's a little more on the nose. So I don't know. Like I could see them being in C tier for kind of the opposite reasons of what's already in C tier, or I could see them being in B tier because I think it's more wearable.
That's essentially the range that I was in. Honestly, I was like, where's a B- or a C+?
It's kind of right between them, yeah.
That's kind of where it's at. It's like it's wearable in the same, like basically what you said. It's wearable. I like them more than what's in C tier, but I don't like it more than what's in B tier.
Yeah.
So to me, I feel like it's a B tier.
I think
but
so.
only because there's no C+.
Yeah, yeah. And for everyone who's kind of checking us out for the first time, we didn't say this earlier. We don't within each tier typically do like a left to right is best to worst or worst to best sort of thing. It's just kind of whatever's in B tier is in B tier. So keep that in mind as we go here. All right.
Good point.
Next up, we got the I lost it. The Dr. Feelgood Dunk Highs, the Motley Crue. This one, I'm actually not sure. You'll tell me maybe if this is Nike SB or not, or if this is just Nike. I would guess it's SB, but
it looks SB. It looks SB.
The logo on the tongue looks SB. Okay, yeah. Dr. Feelgood. We got the reptilian. We got the Christmas lizard Dunk Highs right here.
Yeah, very much so. So this is inspired from their 5th album, which obviously has the track Dr. Feelgood and I think Kickstart My Heart or something like that.
Okay.
I think those are the 2 big tracks, which I'm like, okay, 2 probably of the biggest Motley Crue songs that they have. Mm-hmm. These came out March of 2008, so very cool. Again, it's off the album cover, so that's why there is snake skin. There's like a snake wrapped around something. I couldn't tell if it was like knives or something metallic.
Crue heads in the comments. Let us know what's the snake wrapped around.
There you go. And then I think there's like a tile in the back where you get kind of this green. Even though it's more of like a greenish blue, so it's not like this green. I don't know why it's green.
I like how we're just describing Motley Crue album artwork now.
Yeah, at least where it's at. Okay. So, and then, very interesting. The album that obviously these are referencing just had its 35th anniversary.
And they brought back Wu-Tangs and not these? Nike, what are you thinking?
Absolutely crazy. Also, funny thing, I was talking to Ryan before we did this episode. I found a like old blog of like a metalhead from like this time, and they basically were like, I don't know why it's called Dr. Feelgood because I'm not getting the song from this, but it doesn't make me feel good when I look at it. And it's very true. It's a Christmas shoe, but with snake skin.
It's nice to know that someone made that joke maybe 20 years ago, and I still would have made that joke today. I think that's an easy joke. Yeah.
Yeah. And all I could find of basically like, because I'm sure a lot of people are like, Motley Crue's 5th album and this song, why? Literally all I could find was just speculation from like sneaker like chat logs, which is basically just Nike loves this genre. Nike loves this era, and they loved 80s hair metal. Yeah. That's essentially what that's not even confirmed. That's just like Nike's made too many of these and hasn't said anything. I guess they just like the band.
They're never beating the allegations at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I will say Motley Crue, I do listen to pretty good. I saw them live like 2 years ago.
Okay. Did Tommy Lee have the spinning drum set?
Yes.
The roller coaster drum set?
Yeah. Did have that. So that was very cool. A lady just on the Jumbotron lifted shirt, and I was like, that's a wild time.
That sounds like a Motley Crue concert. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like Motley Crue, Poison. I'm just going into other things, but
yeah.
Brett
this is Zune 2.0 right here. This is your Zune empire. Everyone's got to have
one. But let me tell you what, if you're an audio only listener, this is about the only time I'll say you made the right
choice. Park the car. Hey, park the car real quick. You're going to want to see this.
These are F.
Yeah.
These can't be more than these can't be anything better.
We're jumping right into it.
I don't even want to rank it.
I know we're jumping right into it. We are tight on time. I do feel obligated though to share my Motley Crue association, which is that I did read Nikki Sixx's memoir, Heroin Diaries, at some point in either junior high or high school.
Was it around the same time? Did you read that before the Red Hot Chili Peppers book or after?
No, that you're so right. They were around the same time. I don't. Everyone for some reason, like
Everyone read that book.
None of us would do our summer reading, but it's like I've got to learn about what Anthony Kiedis went through. It's not
Drugs.
good, by the way. Yeah, by the way, it's drugs and underage relationships. So yeah, wild that he wrote it. Well, I guess wild that he wrote it in a book. The editor was like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "What's the statute of limitation? Surely I got to be able to say it by now." Yeah, Anthony, you could, but I don't know that you need to. Just sing about California some more. Anyways, F tier. If we're tight on time, this is where we're cutting time. These are F tier. There's no discussion to be had.
We cut from the Run the Jewels to just the next one after this. We just skipped this whole shoe.
If people watch on YouTube, wait a minute. Did my thing buffer? Did it cut out? No, that's the edit. That's correct. That's correct.
Man, going from that to the next one, wild
turn. Yeah, wild turn. So on that note, next one we got Nike SB Dunk Low Travis Scott.
Which
crazy.
Good Lord. I don't know how the other lineups and talks were about the sneakers on this, but to be around when these dropped, one, I mean, obviously you got COVID just going crazy. I mean, you had skate shops posting that they're like, hey, we're not, these will not be in the store because
that's my
so many people were breaking in and like violence, like robberies for these shoes.
That was my one, I shouldn't say my one talking point, but that was my big one. I went to shout out the boys over at Ruckus.
Hey,
that was the first time you saw skate shops posting shoes will not be kept in the store, and comments are turned off on the Instagram post. And that's how you know this is something different. Like this is peak dunk hype. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say the big. This wasn't his first shoe.
No, not with Nike.
No,
he had done several of the Jordans already.
And then I mean, obviously, leading up to this, you got Travis Scott. Just it seems like every time he's out, he's in a dunk, and that's where we get the dunk hysteria. So, like I said, these came out February of 2020. Really, what I have is people went feral for these shoes, kind of like what we talked about. Kind of the big things. I love these shoes. I think they like hype away. They're very cool. You got the rope laces, which look great. It's got tearaway technology.
Love it.
So all that bandana material will wear away, can be worn away, and reveals a full elephant print. Which was a decision. This probably would be the first time I would absolutely hate for that material to wear away.
Yeah, I would not want them to. Which with the fabric as opposed to paint, it's much harder. You got to be deliberate. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously these are SB, so they're meant to be skated in. So that's kind of the motif, which I love. That a lot of what I was trying to find, I did find an article that did say that they enjoyed seeing the Travis Scott quote Wild West vibe with this shoe, in reference to basically like why do we have the bandana? Yeah, what are we having with that? So I do like that, and if Travis Scott definitely around that time very much felt like deserty cowboy type thing. So does make sense. Again, these obviously had just insane hype. I think they're a beautiful looking shoe as well, so that don't hurt the books. And then Travis Scott, I listened to. I don't know if I said this on air, but when I mow the lawn, I exclusively listen to Travis Scott.
It's Astro World front to back.
It's very weird. I just put Travis Scott on. If it's his song, it's a feature. Don't know, but so I listened to a lot. I think last year I was in like the top 1% of Travis Scott listeners.
It's lit.
Strictly because mowing the lawn. So like every week I'm listening to like 3+ hours.
I do want to apologize real quick. I think this next image where the uppers are removed is either a custom or a fake pair, because it looks like the outsoles are different and the sock liner is different. That's on me. I was going too quick trying to find a picture with the uppers worn away, and maybe not surprisingly, a lot of people who have these do not want to wear away the uppers. So
yeah, I mean, to be fair, it does wear away to elephant print, so
that part should still be correct.
Fully, they are. Yeah, they're not. It's not fully wrong.
Apologies on that, listeners. We're paying some attention over here, but
best reference.
We're doing our best we can. Yeah, these I, like everyone and their mom and their girlfriend and any relative they had, entered however many raffles I could for these, and obviously did not hit on
100%.
them. This shoe goes so hard. This is
absolutely,
when we talk about Travis Scott sneaker collaborations, top three.
Oh, easy.
For everyone, you can argue where in the top 3 it goes. No lower than top 5, but yeah, this is up there, man. This
I would even say this should be in, if you're thinking of Travis Scott sneakers, this, if it's not 1, 2, or 3, then I'm tuning out.
Yeah. I hit snooze on your conversation.
100%. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just gonna put an S here. Yeah. No further conversation needed.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Second to last.
What a weird.
Yeah, I
weird
know.
Lineup.
The order of the shoes, I don't know if I just put the order in which they came to my mind, and that's somehow that it worked out. But
yeah.
Oh no, I think we did all the high tops first, and then the low tops. That's the way. And then we got to the end, and I needed one more in Futura. Yeah, and we got to the end, and I needed one more in Futura stuck in there. Yep.
Okay.
Oop. Okay. So next one we got is the Nike SB Dunk Low Guns N' Roses, or specifically the Appetite for Destructions.
There you go. Yes, that is the title of Guns N' Roses. It said debut album, but I did find one article where they said that's not their first album, that's their breakthrough album.
Okay.
They may have, I'm assuming, had like a before they were on a record label album, and the OG true love of Guns N' Roses.
Back when they were just Guns, before Roses came on board.
Yeah, before Roses came in. Again, this is just going with this fueled the Nike SB just loves 80s like hair metal, because obviously you're like, okay, Guns N' Roses. So again, this is just for the they were like, hey, that album banger, which to be fair, when you like that album has all of I think if you go to hits. Like, I think if you just type in Guns N' Roses on Spotify and you look at their like 5 most played, it's just 5 songs from that album.
I would think so. Yeah.
But I think it's like Welcome to the Jungle and all that stuff. So, and it is, you'll see it on like the cross that has it. It's that ombre. So
yeah.
I listened to a bunch of Guns N' Roses. Haven't seen them live, but I mean, yeah, that album specifically.
I don't think in 2024 you'd want to see them live. I think you missed the window of seeing Guns N' Roses live and it being a good show.
Yeah, poor Axl.
Can I put you to quick research? I don't know that this was a wide release. I thought this was closer to like a Quasimoto or Wu-Tang Dunk thing, to where like small amount was made and the project scrapped, but I could be confusing my dunks here. Or if you can't find it, if someone in the comments down below can let us know. But I thought for whatever reason, like I know Iron Maiden dunks are another one of those, like they made 24 pairs sort of things.
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't have to spend a ton of time on it. I couldn't remember if these were like an actual release or sort of like small project that a handful of people got their hands on.
I didn't see anything. Okay. And I'm not seeing anything from like major articles that say that this was a limited or scrap thing. Now, spoiler alert, we will talk about that very soon.
Oh, okay. So that being said, let's hit on this one real quick. I think good shoe. I mean, kind of simple if it's just mimicking the album artwork, but like, colorway does go kind of hard. Classic album, like especially more so than Dr. Feelgood. Sorry, Motley Crue, if you're listening.
Just say it.
A tier too high?
No, A tier. That's where I wanted it.
I think
because again, I look at it and I'm like, I would wear this over B tier, which is such a wild thing, especially because the Wu-Tang Dunks are in B tier.
Right. Yeah.
But that's just like this. I just think this looks cooler.
I do as well. Yeah.
And maybe because it's a low.
This does, I will say, have the run the jewels thing where, like, if you're just looking at it, if you let someone look at it and you didn't tell them anything, I don't know that they would make the jump to Guns N' Roses like they wouldn't for Run the Jewels. But on top of that, I would want to wear this color more than the Run the Jewels one.
Yeah.
Just kind of cooler.
Correct.
Okay. Last, but absolutely not least, and perhaps arguably most.
Yeah.
The Nike Dunk High Futura Dunkles.
Yes. So yeah, these came out September of 2004, nicknamed or called the Dunkles. So this is a collab with the New York graffiti artist Futura and Unkle. So obviously it's a Dunkle.
Yeah.
So very interesting. I pulled this quote exactly because this is a quote from Futura saying, "The Dunkle, which everybody goes crazy over. I see a posting of a Dunkle daily on Instagram. It's a shoe which is pretty much like a Futura shoe, with the Unkle characters that I created for Mo Wax Records in the 90s. And I never really liked it. I don't want to blow up the spot and say it was completely unauthorized, but it was a little bit like, oh, you're doing it? Okay, thanks for asking me."
Yeah. So that's the thing. I think that's the detail that a lot of people miss with Dunkles is that it's a Nike, and this one I don't see SB on the tongue tag. So this might also just be Nike sportswear, but it's a Nike and Unkle, the music group or artist.
Yeah.
Again, Unkle's another one that I'm not familiar with. Collaboration. And Unkle had an album, if I remember, and you're describing it correctly, that Futura did the artwork for. So it's not really a Futura collaboration. It's just using artwork that Futura created. I do think, probably like Futura is saying in that quote, it's interesting that at one point, Futura was probably commissioned to do the artwork for that album. The band or the record label or whoever owns that artwork. And while Futura thought it's just going to be used for one album, and maybe, merch, tour, whatever around the album, they're also using that artwork now for other product. And it's his artwork. It's Futura's artwork that he did, but this was not his intended purpose for it. And so, I could see how that quote makes sense.
Yeah. So he doesn't completely disown it, but obviously he is like, hey, I didn't necessarily sign off on this.
Right.
So not controversy, but not controversy.
Okay.
Kind of with the shoe, which is interesting. Also, there was supposed to be a low version of this.
Oh.
And there's rumored that there is only 5 pairs.
Wow.
And the inside of them does say sample, like the entire insert says sample, but there's rumored to only be 5 samples of the low version of this dunk, but never obviously never got released. So
okay.
But there's rumored that there's only 5 pairs of that sample.
Wild.
So it looks like they maybe did like a batch or 2,
trying it out,
and that's maybe it. Because and from what it seems like, people are like, hey, this, like, there's really no difference between the samples. So it's almost like they made a sample, they gave them just 5. But also, I'm assuming it's just going to be one shoe. Because the sample, they're not going to, they don't send you a pair. They don't send you a set.
It depends. It depends. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
So yeah. Again, here's the thing. I don't know Dick Doodley about the artist, not artist. I'm not quoting artist like he's not an artist, but like collab, I guess is where I was supposed to do it. Sorry for all the Futura heads. And I definitely do not know Unkle. I don't know. Like, like you said, is it a group? Is it a person?
Familiar with Futura though? Yeah.
No.
Futura just did a dunk again this year. It's like one of the biggest shoes this year.
Oh, that's true. That's true. He did do a dunk this year.
I think you're familiar with Futura.
Well, okay, like not his work.
Yeah, sorry, not his artwork outside of his secret collaborations, perhaps. Okay,
that is
fair.
That is, I guess, more of what
that's what you meant. That's where the quotes went, everybody. That's where the quotes went.
But also, here's the thing. Okay, I told Ryan before we started, I've got probably a spicy take.
Here it is.
I like this over the Paris Dunks.
I don't think that's too out of line. I mean, I
like
think,
that. I think they're very similar.
They're similar-ish, but I could see they are different enough to where it's like if you like one over the other, you know,
it makes sense,
I think if you were talking like bread ones and Chicago ones, a lot of people would get stickler of like I like one more than the other. But I could see like I like a predominantly dark, I like a predominantly light shoe, you know, like one versus the other. Cool. But
all right, I didn't know. I was like that might be a super spicy. I like that. I like that it's more of a mild take.
For some, like that might be more like a point of contention, but for me, I'm like, okay, yeah, I could see that. I get that.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, it's pretty obvious where I'm going to rank these.
Okay.
Where do you have any connection to the artist? Do you have any connection to Unkle?
I don't. I've got the. I feel like I went to like Sneakerhead 101 school where I'm like, I know these are iconic. Like I know when you talk dunks, collaboration, non-collaboration, SB, non-SB. Dunkles are like iconic dunks. So there's a part of me that's preconditioned of like, you put them in S tier because that's what they are, you know? Personally, I would probably take them down a notch to A tier just on the wearability scale of what I do. But if we wanted to go all the way to S tier, I respect it to be like, yeah, that's where these go. They're dunkles, you know?
Okay. See, because to me, I put these in S tier.
All right.
To me, it was where I'm like, I would for sure, I would wear these. I don't think they're as a casual of a wear as what we have in S tier right now.
Yeah.
But I could be like, oh yeah, no, I'd feel comfortable just wearing these for sure.
Yeah. So
easy.
It's not one that I would wear today necessarily, but maybe closer to around when it came out. That would be it.
Sure. Yeah. That's
all right. So let me go ahead and drop the marker. Hello, everyone who skipped forward to this portion of the video and did not watch the rest of it. It's nice to have you with us here again. Is the sorry we went long. You missed a whole thing about Zunes in the middle there, though. And back? Nikki Sixx's Heroin Diaries and what was
pedophilia?
Nope, not that.
I don't like how we said those things together.
Yeah, no, not what you said. Here's the list. Here's the list where it ends up. For the audio listeners, we'll do a quick recap for you. In S tier, we have the Quasimoto Dunk Highs, the Travis Scott Dunk Lows, and the Unkle Dunk Highs. In A tier, MF Doom's Appetite for Destruction. In B tier, Wu-Tang Dunks and Run the Jewels. C tier, De La Soul Dunk Highs and Grateful Dead Dunk Lows. D tier, NERD and Pharrell Dunks. E tier, Dinosaur Jr Dunk Highs. And F for Feelgood, the Dr. Feelgood Motley Crue Dunks. So there is our ranking of 12 of, if not the 12 most iconic music-themed Nike Dunk collaborations. If you made it this far in the video, leave a comment down below. Let us know, what do you think of our ranking? What did we get wrong that you would change? One thing, the most egregious error that we made, leave it in the comment down below.
There we go.
I know we are already so long on time here, so I will get quick to the wrap up and the thank yous. Thank you, everyone, for checking out another episode of Shoe Podcast. You can catch us online at shoepodcast.com, across all social media at Shoe Podcast. If you want to keep the conversation going with us, you can do so in our Discord, which you can join via the link in the description of the episode down below. Lastly, if you made it this far, or if you skipped ahead to the video to find the final listing, but for some reason also stuck around to hear the outros, thank you so much for checking this portion out. Consider subscribing to the channel on YouTube, following on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, subscribing, turning on notifications, whatever. We really appreciate it. We're so close to hitting, I think it's 600 subscribers on YouTube. So before the end of the year, be the change you want to see in the world. Get us over that bump. Tanner, what do you want to leave the people with before we go?
I thought you left it beautifully.
Oh, okay. That's it. Happy Black Friday. For our American listeners, hope you had a great Thanksgiving. For our non-American listeners, hope you had a great Thursday. Hope it was good.
Yeah. Hope it was nice. A little cold front coming in, so wear your jackets.
There you go. That's right. Bundle up.
Boom.
Love you. What? We're already long. Can I do 2 minutes real quick? We're already long here. What's another 2 minutes at this point?
Let me sit in.
You have no tip of the week. I got one for you. And this is the thing I didn't think you needed to do. And maybe you just need to do it if you've got a a house that gets especially dusty, or if you got a pet, we got a dog that sheds a lot, clean your smoke detectors. I didn't know that was a thing you had to do. I didn't think you had to do it. I lived all my life without doing it, except ours. In the past year or so, I think it's mainly since we got our dog. I mean, check the batteries on them. That's a thing to do. But if the batteries are fresh, every 6 months or so, get up there. You got a little air duster, blow the air and dust out of them. That can set off false triggers. You do not want to be woken up by your smoke detector going off at 3 a.m. correctly or falsely. Either way, you don't want it happening.
Yeah, you really don't. Well, never mind.
And it happens to you, and it's so hard to go back to sleep. I don't want to call it trauma now, but I have a hard time falling asleep at night. I just lay there and I'm like, I think it's about to go off. And like, there's no adrenaline like getting woken up from a dead sleep at 3 a.m. by a screaming smoke detector.
I'd be like, oh no, everything I love is about to not exist anymore.
Well, it's not even so much that, because I'm not conscious enough to process that. It is just such a like shock of humor of like, loud sound. What is happening? Like, it just screams. So,
and then whenever you realize it's a smoke detector, you're like, oh no.
Yeah, hopefully it's a false error. But that being said, preventively clean your smoke detectors. This sounds like one of those like your parents would tell you to do it. I'm actually telling you, and I'm doing it now because I do not want to keep getting woken up in the middle of the night for no reason. Clean your smoke detectors, little duster or something like that. Just blow the dust out of them.
Okay.
Also, smoke detector companies, if you're listening in, can we please get the technology to a point where, like, I know you can't prevent false alarms from going off, but there should be that would be a utopia if we could live there, but I don't know that it's going to happen, you know? But we should be able to get to a point where if it thinks it detects smoke, it maybe says smoke detected, alarm going off in 10, a 10-second countdown. I'm no firefighter. I don't know if that's the difference between your house going up like a matchbox or not. Maybe it is. I just feel like,
Will the firefighter please get in the comments?
Yeah, Will, could you let us know? I just feel like there's got to be somewhat of a better system of like, hey, the alarm's about to go off.
Yeah.
If you want to check real quick and make sure that there's not actually a fire and silence it, I won't scream at you. I would love that so much, but it just doesn't seem to be there. So smoke detector companies, you have no incentive to do that, but if you could, it would be so nice.
It'd be real cool.
There it is. All right.
Yeah.
That was my smoke detector bit. Thank you, everyone, for checking out another episode of Shoe Podcast. If you've made it this far in the video, now subscribe and follow. If you stuck through all of that and you haven't already subscribed and follow, who are you? And please check us out. All right.
If you've made it this far, make a second YouTube account to go subscribe to our channel.
You like us a little too much. If you're not in the Discord, but you're still watching this, kind of weird. That's crazy. Kind of weird now.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah. Or
probably my mom.
Or your phone's out of reach and you just can't turn us off and we're just on autoplay. All right. Yeah. That'll do it. We'll be back next week with another one, I think, to talk about the sneakers releasing in December. So come back for that. It'll be a good time. I'm your co-host, Ryan Landry.
I'm your co-host, Andrew Young.
Have a good one.